All right. Hey, how's it, everybody? Pussycat knows what's up. It is 5 p.m. West Coast time. I'm thinking it might be around 2 p.m. Hawaii time, 8 p.m. on that there East Coast, and 7 p.m. for our Central Time folk. I am Mad Statter. This is Chatter with Statter, and we have got folks floating on in wondering, am I in the right place? You are in the right place. Good to see you, Badri. Yes, happy you're here from Pakistan. Pakistan and Kevin Frazier, long time no see. Very strange. Chatter with Statter. You've come upon. Most of y'all have no idea what the flying fork is going on, and that's okay because I didn't know we were going to do this until just a few days ago. Anyway, but before I explain what it is you guys were just watching, I do want to say hello to Shock. I want to say hello to Gina. And let's see here who else might have wandered on in while I was busy doing things and stuff. All right, it looks like Pussycat. It looks like Kevin Frazier, Padri. And let's see here, E-Music also coming on in. Perfect. Okay, so I will explain to you what it was that we just watched in just a minute. But right now, why don't we get the party started? All right, Crow coming in, knowing they weren't going to be the first one today, and accepting those as facts. Rick also, what was that we were watching? What we were watching, actually, my friends, is a ceremony that takes place every year right around this time in North Washington. Unfortunately, North Washington, in a town called Oso, 10 years ago, almost to the day, March 22nd, 2014, the deadliest landslide in United States history took place in the state of Washington. And today, we're going to talk a little bit about that. I've edited down a special from King 5 where it explains just what happened, how it happened, the time of events unfolded, and and basically just what has happened since then. And every year since that tragedy, because there were some people who passed, there is a memorial celebration. And this year, finally, well, not finally, but this year, the memorial park for this particular landslide, this event, was finally open, and that is where that ceremony took place. I know, normally we don't talk about things that are kind of a bummer, but unfortunately in this particular situation, it was an international event, and even still 10 years, people who were involved in it, all up and down the I-5 corridor, it was a tragedy that shook our state. And in the spirit, in the spirit of what it is that we're going to talk about, that's right, we've got a map. Yeah. So here we do have it, Rabbit. See that little heart? That is where Oso is. That is where Oso is still exists. But here we go. Another little bit of a map closer in case all y'all don't remember. I have a story. About when I got rescued from a river in January in 25-degree weather. We're not going to get into the details, but if you remember that story and you point and laugh in my general direction for my utter stupidity of it, which you should, that story took place on this map in the little blue circle at the top of this map. And yes, I did have to get rescued, Darlene. We were, my friend and I were in a raft going down a river looking at bald eagles, and a stump tore the raft out from under us, deflated it immediately, threw us into the river. Luckily we had life jackets, and luckily we had a lighter in a dry bag. So even though there was snow on the ground, because yes, let me make that clear. There was snow on the ground. And I was in a rubber raft in January on a river in the mountains. People are stupid. Sometimes people are stupid. So, that's where I was. And yes, Darlene, oh bummer, you could have drowned or frozen like a popsicle. Fortunately, we did not drown nor freeze like a popsicle, because both Perry, that was the guy I was with, and myself are expert fire builders. We build fires in rainforest conditions with wet wood from the beach. We know how to start a fire. And so, luckily, even though we weren't in the rainforest, we were up in the mountains, the mountain area that we were in was not a rainforest. Things, even though there was snow on the ground, things were dry. And so we were able to create a very warm fire. Got ourselves all dried off by the time the rescue boat came to get us. Yeah, that's right, rescue boat had to come to get us because there were no roads. Anyway, Puzzy, Crow, I wish there was alcohol involved in this decision. This was made completely sober. This decision was not only sober, it was planned. We had to drive multiple hours to get there. And if no roads, how did you get there then? Well, there was the drop-off point where we got into the river was off of a road. The drop-in point where we were going to get out of the river also near a road. But the river was not near a road when we needed to be near a road. And in the ensuing chaos of the boat getting ripped out from under us, one of my boots got torn off of my leg, and so I only had one boot. So we're wandering along the riverbed, me and one boot, and so the one boot that remained on my foot, I still have that boot to this day. I call it my lucky boot. Um, people question that, but I still consider it lucky. And so that story, let's see here. Yeah, that story took place in the circle, the blue circle at the top of this map. Now you might notice that I hope you notice the big pig circle, because the pink circle is really where you the pink circle is where you where we're going to be talking about later. But to give you reference, the red circle at the bottom of this map, that is a summit. That is a mountain pass summit. So basically, all of these things in alignment, as you can really see, are in the middle of the mountains. Here we go. Here's the middle of the mountains, right? And so at the top of this particular map, you're going to see a place called Rockport and Marble Mount. So we got in the river at Marble Mount. We were going to get out at Rockport. And there you go. And Crow, okay, I wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt, but I can't do that for just not using common sense. Who goes to the mountains and the river when there's snow on the ground and a rubber boat? Well, me. I do, okay, me. It was a great, it's, in my defense, I don't really know if this is in my defense. In my defense, hey, Kenny from the Cove, yeah, it was planned and it was sober. I mean, we might have had a couple hits of weed, but the weed had nothing to do with the decision. The decisions were made sober. But not only was it a plan, this was the second time this year I'd done it. That year I'd done it. So, the first time it happened with no incidences, so it was no big deal. It is a well-known. You have to ride this river during the winter in order to see all the eagles. It's a well-known rafting route. The thing is you need to go with someone who knows the river better than a two-time traverser. You really shouldn't be a newbie. You need a guide to do this. And the first time I did it with a guide. He made it look simple. So the second time I did it with a friend. It's not simple, okay? It's not simple. It's not simple. And, but yeah, am I stupid? Am I crazy? Do I have more fortitude than other people? Perhaps. Shock. You're a person of more fortitude than I. Winter camping? Nope. Winter boating? Nope. Yeah. And, Shock, I think you were asking me, did the boot fall off my iron foot or my meat foot? And at that point, all of my feet were meat feet because I hadn't broken my ankle yet. For those of you who don't know what that question was about or what that answer even meant, I have a plate and 6 screws in one of my ankles because I broke my ankle playing training for roller derby. But that was after this. So now, currently, I have metal in one foot, i.e. the iron foot, and then I have no metal in the other foot, i.e. the meat foot. And so, meat foot, iron foot, but this time of my life, it was only 2 meat feet. And there you have it. So, yes. So, you can definitely point and laugh at me for being stupid, because I was stupid. But, when you're out in the middle of the wilderness, and we are out in the middle of wilderness here, you have to rely on the kindness of strangers, as it were. And so, this particular piece of map that we're looking at, in the very, very center, you might be able to see a town called Darrington. A little bit further out to the left, just left of the word Hazel, you'll notice a very strange scar in the land. And that scar, boop, is a little bit closer here. And this is what we're talking about today. That scar on the land, the Oso landslide memorial right there with the little green dot, that is the landslide that we're going to be talking about today. And to give you guys Some context. This is before and after. These are the before and after shots of that landslide. And so, what I'd like to share with you today is this particular story of how this happened. Not really how this, they cover how it happened, and we'll get into that. But the day it happened and what went down the day it happened. However, before we do that, I do want to stop and let's see here, pause it right here. I would like to point out to you all, okay? If you look at the picture on the left, the before picture, the picture that's all green, do you notice the white parts, the sandy parts of the slope near the top of the hill? And then you've got a green hillside. But at the top of that hillside, you've got exposed land. That is the area that collapsed onto itself. And what happened to all of the green basically slid down the mountain and covered everything. And yeah. This is about a 13-minute long video that I edited down from about 45 minutes. So I cut a lot out, but this is the heart of the story. And yes, indeed, Shock, there was a neighborhood there. So we're going to spend about 15 minutes and learning a little bit about Oso and the community that felt the slide. All right, guys, let's go.
People use the word podunk or, hillbilly or whatever because it's out in the sticks. They can say whatever we want, but we have an amazing community. You'll go months without thinking about it all, and it just kind of slaps you in the face.
911, what is your emergency?
There is a house on 530 and a big slide, and it is covering the road.
Are there any injuries?
Yes, there's people yelling for help.
We'll have days where we'll have 3 calls in one day, and then we'll have 2 weeks without a call.
I didn't know anything about being a chief. It's a small community. There's not really like a working up through the system. My name is Willie Harper. I am the fire chief of the Oso Fire Department. I've been the fire chief since 2012, which was 2 years before the landslide.
There's like a mudslide and everything's gone. The houses are gone. We watched hundreds of trees come falling. I'm on Steve Post Road, Highway 530.
10:45, the call came in for a roof in the middle of the road. Kind of a strange call to get, but it wasn't a real big call as far as what I could tell on the pager.
And there has been a huge landslide, and it's pushed the house all the way across the road.
I was thinking to myself, if there's a roof on the road, I might need to cone off the road. You never know who's around on Saturdays. They're all volunteers, so they got family stuff.
Basically, it's for a single engine response, that they have water in the roadway and that a part of a building, and so it's like, okay, a little slide, something has blocked the highway.
Wow, it's really flooding.
And as I pulled over the hill and down into where the road was blocked, nothing really made sense.
There is a structure out on the middle of 530. We'll be investigating.
I had recognized it from a barn that was off to the south of the highway. We're getting on the radio and asking questions and not really getting any information.
We're hearing cries from somewhere over there? Are you guys hearing them for your end?
I'm Sergeant Rocky Oliphant with the Washington State Patrol. I was the first trooper on scene of the Oso landslide. So I was on I-5. I was actually checking for speeders. So I was the only one headed out there. And so I came around a corner. I'll tell you that when I arrived on that scene, it was an overwhelming feeling for me. I tried to get over my radio to tell my dispatcher what was going on.
Keep going out for search and rescue helicopters. This is a major event here, and we're going to need additional resources.
You could start hearing on the voices, well, where are you? We don't see you.
I want you to go to the end of Whitman Road and see if you can see the people that are trapped on the other side of the water.
Back and forth, and all of a sudden you kind of realize, well, if they're not able to see or make connection to each other physically, this is much bigger than any of us realized. And at one point, I stepped on a log that gave way, and I went in and pulled that back out and just drenched in mud. You know, in the moment, you're just trying to do everything you can to help.
It was at that point that we heard a guy yell from the mud, hey, there's a baby out here. And we all kind of looked at each other and we're like,
I'm sending out one victim, appears to be about a 6-month-old baby. Red.
One of my buddies that was there, a civilian, he said, well, I'm going in to help. And I looked at one of the other firefighters and said, well, if he's going in, we're going in. And so we started into the mud.
We've got a few victims up here. Could you guys try to coordinate some backboards or stokes from that end?
They got halfway out into there and they heard a baby crying, and at that point I started taking pieces of plywood off of a house, roofing off of a house, and just ripping it off and trying to make a path for them to safely get back.
Okay, as far as we can tell, we only have one more victim out here. She's currently trapped and we're trying to extricate.
We had no idea the spread of it or the depth and the magnitude. The other guy that was firefighter that was with me crawled up on top of some trees, and I said, what do you see out there? And he goes, nothing. I'm like, what do you mean nothing? And what about the houses or the highway? He goes, there's nothing. At some point, we finally figured out that we're about a mile apart, and that's when it kind of made us realize how big this thing was.
When we came over the ridge into the North Fork Stillaguamish Valley, 530 wasn't visible, it was covered.
I think we're looking at a catastrophic event here. We've got Whitman Road that has been taken out by a slide.
It completely dammed the river. Downstream was virtually dry. We didn't see anybody on our first pass.
There's this kind of panic setting in, and the scale of this is starting to make sense, but you know, hey, we got work we have to do.
We had our moving map so we could see we were right over the neighborhood, and there was nothing man-made that we could see sticking up.
We made one pass downstream over the pile and we didn't see anybody, and we turned around and came back up, and that's when we spotted the two ladies on the rooftop.
And as I'm going down the hook, I realized that the roof section they're on is floating. We're working in the middle of a lake, basically.
The water was still coming in. Everything out there had exploded. The mud was still coming in. My house had been destroyed. A whole tree had landed on Yeti, my friend who was with me.
I have her.
We got the Dutch woman up and out of there, came back down, hooked up Robin. You know, she's a Native American pastor, and she had a painting of this Indian warrior that she had lugged up to the roof.
But I told him, it's very important to me. It's a Cherokee night warrior.
It was clearly meaningful, and I told her, you can't take that.
I needed that painting. That's all I can say about it. I really needed it.
Slack.
So we got her up, and when they came to extract me again, I just grabbed the painting and took it up with me. It was very satisfying to at least have that one piece of her life there to give to her. I felt good about that after it was done.
We understood at that moment in time that this was not going to be a local event, it was not going to be a state event, that it was going to be an international event.
We have people that are yelling for our help. We're going to take extreme risks to try to get them out of there tonight. We did recover 2 additional fatalities today. That brings our fatality rate to 16.
Many of the people missing were on Steelhead Drive, where Navy Commander L. John Riegelbrugge lived with his wife.
No word yet on baby Sanoa, but they know she has to be somewhere in the debris.
Tom and Marcy Satterley.
Her niece, Delaney Webb, is one of the many that are listed as missing.
We're still in a rescue mode at this time. However, I want to let everyone know that the situation is very grim.
We would come back home at night and you'd get up in the morning and you'd go back in. It just seemed to go on and on and on.
There's just massive logs, whole stacked, and we're cutting them from just doing the grid search, where we're going down.
Well, the houses, some of them were pancaked. You would pull apart the roof and then there was a room underneath that.
And then when we saw a body, young guy, he just said, he looked at him and he said, "That's my dad." His son is out there as a civilian on the debris pile, and it's his father. And we get all away from him, we stop cleaning up because we're going to let this family have a moment with their loved one.
I'm a man of faith, and I believe in miracles. And you've all reported on incidents worldwide where these things can turn on a dime and somebody can be found.
After searching a very large area of that debris field on foot, we didn't find anybody alive. There was no sign of life.
And I had a sense that we're going to have some hard news here.
If it had not happened on a Saturday morning, there wouldn't have been nearly as many people lost. That makes me sad, the what ifs. Why did it have to be that day?
These individuals come in up to waist deep in mud that they've been going through. They've been digging through stuff. They've seen things that most people shouldn't, people shouldn't have to see.
At least a couple of months of going out and looking.
Our crews are weary and they're tired and they're doing a fantastic job out there.
We were so determined to find everybody. You couldn't let yourself get tired because you had to keep going because we were going to find everybody. Eventually, we did.
Where I'm standing now really looks up the throat of the slide.
I'm Glenn Farley. I'm a retired reporter for King TV. I was one of the first reporters to work this incident. At one point, we actually went in there with the USGS team. They didn't know if more wasn't going to come down.
My name is David Montgomery, and I'm a professor of geomorphology here at the University of Washington. It was a surprising event. The idea that we'd have big landslides in Western Washington, that's not a surprise. One that would go that far, that fast, that was a surprise. It was essentially a reactivation of a slide that had failed before, but this time it went further, faster, presumably due to all the rain that we had. That was an incredibly wet month.
Add rain, heavy rain this month, double the average, more than 15 inches.
Weather was clearly a factor here.
That triggered the debris avalanche. And then the second piece of the hill fell down, essentially rotated or collapsed down into the hole left by that first piece.
And they described it as like an entire row of semis that would have been traveling at that kind of speed, mowing over everything in its path.
They told us it's just going to stabilize that slope. I call it engineering failure. Those houses had not been green lighted. Those people would be here today. Those families would not be living what they have to live with today.
One of the agreements that we struck with the authorities was when they located a body, that all the filming would stop. There would be a whistle, a horn that went off. That happened when we were back in there. And these people didn't have a chance. And that's why we really need to be smart about the geology going forward in this state.
right, so that was the story of Oso, and Gina came in with really the $60 million question, right? What caused it? What caused that, right? Well, they're pretty sure what caused it was this right here. This is a picture after the slide, and it's the best picture I can find. I don't know if you can see the, or if you notice the magenta crayon circle area above the slide, to the left, to the right, sorry. I've circled the slot in question. And exactly, Rick, it's hard to see in this picture, especially since I kind of screwed up when I put that circle. But where that circle is a very pale green patch in comparison to the dark green land surrounding it. That pale green slice of land had been clear cut. And it had been clear cut several times. And over the years, like decades, they realized that hill was unstable and they needed to stop logging there. So they did. And then one timber company said, you know what? It won't hurt anything to do this one little slice. This one tiny little slice we're gonna clear cut. But when you clear cut something, that affects how the water is absorbed into the soil. And it's absorbed into the soil at a much faster rate. Much, much faster rate. Now, you'll maybe notice in some of these pictures, especially this one picture here, the picture on the left, they knew that this was an unstable hillside. You could see already it was an unstable hillside. You can see that there was slides previously in that area, which was why the upper area was not logged anymore. They stopped logging that hillside decades ago because it was an unstable hillside. But one logging company managed to get permits and they logged that tiny little area, and then this happened. Now, to be fair, no one can prove that that's exactly why the landslide was caused, especially since there was an overabundance of rain that year, in that season, which is why no one was officially blamed. But we all know that little straws eventually break the camel's back. And maybe one straw wasn't responsible, but the cumulative nature of what happened in that area, the logging company, a little bit responsible. The state agency that gave that logging company a permit, a little bit responsible. The inadequate shoring up of the hillside by the state, kind of responsible. The additional 7 homes that were allowed to be built after the initial landslide that happened in 2006, only 8 years prior to the 2014 landslide that we're talking about right now. There was a landslide, there was a failure, which is what caused the wall to be built. And then those additional homes were built after that. There's a myriad of reasons why and how this happened. Nobody can get the exact blame. Nobody's gonna get pinned or was able to get pinned, but everybody's hands were dirty in this, which is why the gentleman at the very end was saying we need to be a lot more careful with our geology here in the future. this is a perfect example of how a lot of little things can add up to a very bad thing. And Shock, don't even get me started, yo. It seems ludicrous, says Shock, that a wooden barrier would hold back a real landslide. I know, right? I mean, when I saw that, when I was reminded of that, this happened 10 years ago. I followed it when it happened. A lot of details I had forgotten until I watched the special that King 5 did. When I reheard that claim, I got angry all over again, because it just was awful. And then so okay, you've got this horrible thing, and yes, it's Ashes. It's Ashes here to save the day and be pretty and annoying and in the way. All right then. But another thing you see that happened here, and this, once again, we're going to, yeah, exactly, Shock. It's the kind of goofy Band-Aid intended to make people feel safe, but it's actually not going to do anything. Exactly. And so let's see here. Can I? Nope, this isn't the one. All right, this is the one. So, you guys, check this out. Now, Oso, you probably can't see it, unfortunately, but Oso is literally in the middle of this map. The slide, like I said earlier, is just to the left of the word Hazel. But if you go to the right, you're going to find this town pretty much in the middle of this map called Darrington. Darrington was literally cut off from the world after this landslide for almost a year. It used to be like a 30-minute drive into town. And when I say town, I mean like I-5, get gas, get big grocery stores, big town. Arlington is a town that's kind of sizable. Darrington went from, a 30-minute, 40-minute drive into town to a 3-hour drive each way. So suddenly people who lived in Darrington but were used to working in Arlington had a 6-hour commute to and from work, not to mention 6 hours worth of driving, which means 6 hours worth of gas. The people in Darrington were basically cut off from the world with that landslide. It had ramifications far beyond just the people who lived in Oso, right? And so yeah, terrible, horrible, no good, very bad tragedy. But 10 years later, they have finally opened the memorial park. Every year they do the releasing of the lanterns, which was what opened up the stream today. And with that, basically I don't have a whole lot else to say about Oso. And for the most part, this is all I had planned for the stream today, other than our usual Lono listing break, which we will be getting to momentarily. So, after the Lono listening break, we can definitely talk about whatever we want, whatever fun thing we want, whatever not fun thing we want. Hopefully it'll be a fun thing, because this was a little bit less than fun thing, but on the other hand, I did want to honor the victims at the 10-year anniversary, and I also don't think that it hurts for us to be reminded of how little we are in the face of Mother Nature. If you've been caught up in a wave on the beach that tumbled you in the sand, you know how strong a tiny wave can be, let alone a tidal wave like Pussycat was talking about, let alone an earthquake, which we are also, this time of year is another time of year for an earthquake that happened, an anniversary time of an earthquake that happened in 2001 in Western Washington, which was one of the strongest ones that we've had in the last probably 40 or 50 years. In that earthquake, I was lucky enough to not be at work. If I had been at work, I would have been killed the building I was in collapsed in and of itself, into itself, and the start of the collapse was quite literally where my desk was. So, it's always good to remember you're just a speck of dust floating in the wind, y'all. And you know, I know that we like to think that we're in control, but sometimes we have to recognize, man, we are just not. And let's see here. Shock. I have felt the concussion from the fire department dropping a fork ton of water on the house next door, and that was relatively small, yet impressive. Exactly. And Puzzycat, right, the 20-foot tall, the 20-foot tall flippin' wave, which they still don't know why that wave happened. It could have been, what? It could have been the landslide. It could have been, what do you say, the Navy. It could have been the launch. It could have been a couple other things. That 20-foot high wave was able to move 200 cars parked on the beach. And you better believe, if you were a person on the beach and you were near those cars, suddenly those cars are floating in the water or getting, I can't even imagine how terrifying a 20-foot high wave must have been. I cannot even imagine. Or I guess I can, just enough to just be like, no. And yeah, exactly, Darlene. It was basically irresponsible logging. Now, like I said, that hasn't been proven, but I'm not gonna let go of that. I'm not gonna let go of that. And there you go. And so, exactly, Kenny, nature is a beast. And so, we were talking about a landslide in this earlier little bit. Now, this Lono listening break is about a landmark, a land feature. This Lono song is called Leahi, and it is the Hawaiian term for what we know as Diamond Head on the island of Oahu. It's named because it looks a little bit like the head of a tuna, and ahi being tuna, and so right now I'm going to bring Ashes into the thing one more time so she can say hello, and then we're gonna bring on Lono. All right, there's the one. Now it's time for the Lono listening break. Here we go. Boop.
Leahi.
Ka poi ka
ka poe ka ulana uhe uhene ka ui ka nuku uhe uhene na ho'o alele I ka moana uhe uhene Haina, uhe uhene mai ka whawala Uhe uhene, ka poe kaulana kau ka nuku Uhe uhene Haina, uhe uhene mai ka puana Uhe uhene, ka poe kaulana kau ka nuku Uhe uhene Leahi.
All right, there we have it. That is our Lono listening break. And yes, song about Diamond Head. But here we are. Wait, as per the usual, we can't help it. No matter what, it always comes back to snacky poos and foods. Snacky poos, foods, and booze. We're talking about chocolate chip cookies. We're talking about Mad Dog 2020, and we're talking about sugar-free Mountain Dew. Yep, that's right. That's what we're talking about in the sidebar right now. Because, of course, that is where we always stray. We always end up in the kitchen. We always end up in the kitchen. And hey, Mama Sean, good to see you here. And by the way, Felicia, good to see you here as well. Good to know that even though you're K, you're sort of hanging out with the crew, with the crowd, making dinner, making dinner and making cookies. And my cat just turned off my lighting, so pardon me for that. And that is exactly right. Bum wine, says Shock, is what Boone's Hill, Strawberry Hill or whatever is. But also bum wine. Well, it's not really bum wine, but I had a friend in college who was a huge fan of Mad Dog. Like, Mad Dog was his drink. And I don't know if you know this or not, but Mad Dog comes in a lot of flavors. It doesn't just come in the orange flavor and the grape flavor like it used to back in the day. It actually comes in a myriad of flavors and a myriad of colors. So, what my friend would do whenever he went out, he would decide what flavor of Mad Dog to buy based on the color of his shirt. So if he was wearing a turquoise shirt, he'd buy the turquoise Mad Dog, blue raspberry. If he was wearing an orange shirt, he'd buy the orange Mad Dog, orange. If he was wearing a red shirt, he'd buy the red Mad Dog. I don't know what flavor red was. If he was wearing a black shirt, I don't really know what flavor he chose when he was wearing a black shirt, to tell you the truth. I'm gonna guess the purple, but I'm not quite sure. Either way, Puzzycat, yeah, you're old enough to only remember 2 flavors, but back in the day, or it was only 2, but then they branched out, and they actually, like, had a whole bunch of flavors. There was a green flavor, a yellow flavor, a blue flavor, obviously the orange flavor, a red flavor, a purple flavor. There's a couple other flavors, basically a color, one for every color of the rainbow. And my friend Chuck, he liked them all, and he just would match his drink with his shirt, and that's how he chose his beverage for the evening. So I wouldn't say he was a bum, but I would say that he was a raging alcoholic at that point in his life. And let's see here, Kenny from the Cove, you could develop a taste for those junior high wines. Yeah, they've got, well, they're so flippin' sweet. I mean, oh my gosh. I can't even imagine trying to drink that stuff nowadays. But yeah, back in junior high, that was what it was. And Pussycat, that is actually his exact logic. He was like, if I spill it on myself or if I puke on myself, it won't be as noticeable if I match it to my shirt. Pussycat, did you know my friend Chuck? Because I feel like you knew my friend Chuck. And if you didn't know Chuck, you clearly knew how Chuck thought, because that is exactly it. And oh yes, Mama San, tell me about it. The weekend's been good, but it's too short. Absolutely. I took Friday off of work, actually, and so my weekend was a 3-day weekend, and I'm telling you right now, it's still too short. If we could have a 4-day weekend and a 3-day work week, I would be very happy. Very happy. Very happy. All right, let's see here. Sorry, I chucked in your truck, Chuck. Yep, there you go. Yeah, except for Chuck didn't. To his credit, Chuck didn't drive. So that was actually a good thing. And oh, Gina, recommending the riced cauliflower. Dude, you tried it. It was palatable. Awesome. Yes, riced cauliflower can be a game changer when it comes to cutting carbs out, be it massively or even just a little bit. And Darlene, I've got to be swamped about now with tax season happening. Yes, I am swamped, which is part of the reason why I took Friday off, because Thursday I ran myself so ragged that Friday I just couldn't even get out of bed. And part of the reason why I took Friday off was because I told myself I would make up for work on it this weekend. Did I? No. Which is one of the reasons why it's like, oh, this weekend was way too short. I was supposed to get work done on the weekend. I didn't get any work done on the weekend. And I took Friday off. I kind of want to take Monday off now because I don't want to even deal with what's waiting for me on Monday. That's not true. I will not be taking Monday off. But, yeah. Yeah. And, let's see here. Mama Sean bragging about how she had some salmon yesterday with her riced cauliflower. Yum, yum, yum. And, let's see here. Pussycat, you had a friend that drank the grape one and let it loose in the backseat of my friend's Mustang in high school. Ooh, and I'll bet it stained, too. I bet it stained. Ooh, yikes. And Shock, she's being a bad girl this weekend. I was supposed to practice this weekend, but I can't even think about breaking out the bass in this weather. Well, yeah, no, there's no need, dude. You've got to keep your fingers cozy and warm. You better be wearing mittens. And if you can play bass with mittens, then I'm impressed, but I don't think you should try to play bass with mittens. Because you need to be keeping yourself warm and cozy. And, let's see here, and Kenny making fun of my friend Chuck, matching your wardrobe and your libations skills for the fashion-forward elbow bender. Exactly, Chuck would have happily, given a course in that. He would have happily given a course in a fashion-forward elbow bendering kind of way. Yes, because he did, yeah, to say that there was benderings, yes, multiple benderings, wouldn't be a lie. And yeah, exactly, Darlene, Shock is, because she's got power now, she just doesn't have heat. But I'm wondering now, Shock, since you do have power, are you able to, like, turn on your oven and Stick your head in it. Stick your hands in the oven to keep yourself warm. Or can you use like space heaters or anything? Because it sounds like there was still supposed to be cold weather in your neck of the woods. And I don't like that you don't have heat in the cold weather. Pussycat, you got hit with a chilly northeasterly storm tonight, windy and cloudy. And so you have broken down and gotten out a space heater today, and you're running it on low in your little corner. Good, good. All right, I'm glad to hear that, because there's no, if you've got the technology and you have the means, there's no need to be miserable. You know, I mean, I understand that some people like to be all stoic and hardy, but listen to someone who goes camping in the winter, y'all. You don't have to be miserable. We have the technology to keep you warm. We do. Because if we didn't, I wouldn't go camping in the winter. Because you see, I actually have a heater that I use in my tent when I go camping in the winter. And I know you're all, oh my God, you can't use heaters in the tent. Yeah, actually you can. I mean, not all of them. In fact, if it doesn't specifically say that you can, I sure as heck wouldn't. But this particular model is made to be used in a tent. It has an oxygen monitor. It has a CO2 sensor. It automatically shuts off when anything gets all wonky. And so, yeah, I definitely feel like if you have the technology to stay warm, use the technology to stay warm. And Pussycat bragging, upper 70s tomorrow, 80s Tuesday. Shoot, I'll be lucky if it's upper 50s tomorrow. And let's see here. Polypropylene clothing, some military polypropylene clothing. What is polypropylene clothing? And let's see here. Your sensei offered you an army-issued potbelly stove, but it's really not big enough. I guess, I don't know, better than nothing though. But you're heading for the blanket oven once your dog goes out. That sounds like a very good plan. Very, very good plan. And let's see here. Yeah, what is I know what polyester is. The one thing, it's one thing for a day, but multiple days and during cold weather temps, you've got to have a space heater at least. Exactly, Darlene. If it's just a short little bit, but if you know you're going to be out for like a flippin' week, you know, you got to do something. Yeah, it'll be 3 weeks on Tuesday. Dude, no. I'm glad you finally got the space heater, because let me tell you, man, you deserve to have shock. You deserve to be warm. You deserve to be comfortable. It's okay. It's okay. It really is. But I'm still very curious what the polypropylene is. Now, Kenny, do you mean, okay, so, Kenny, polypropylene class thing is part of the military clothing system. It'll keep you extremely warm in impossibly frigid weather, but what is it, though? Like, is polypropylene sort of like Tyvek? Is it sort of like Tyvek? Is that what you're talking about? Because I've seen clothing made of Tyvek. And it's a fabric. Okay. All right. And okay, Andre coming in. Hello. I'm waiting at the bus after my Easter Bunny duties. Got out picking up stuff from the coast from Cost Plus. Nice. Nice. And yeah, exactly, Darlene. I would have booked a room somewhere with Heat and Ellie and Coco. Yeah, I probably wouldn't have done that because I don't necessarily have a lot of money for hotels, but especially not 3 weeks worth. But when the power was out, oh, I would have done that for sure. And let's see here. Coco has her little lamp and feathers are very warm. Dog has the fur coat. Fair enough, fair enough. And hold on. Kenny from the Cove. Long johns and long sleeve undershirts, part of the extreme cold weather clothing system. Okay. I'm gonna have to look up what polypropylene is, though, because I keep envisioning Tyvek. That's all. I just keep envisioning Tyvek, and so and I'm sure it's not. And yes, Pussycat, today is Palm Sunday, and apparently next Friday is Good Friday. And you know what I thought? I thought it was so logical, and everybody at the bar last night laughed at me when I said it because they know more about religion than I do. I said, okay, wait, so if today is Palm Sunday and the next place is Good Friday, then on Wednesday, that must mean that Wednesday is Ash Wednesday. And they looked at me and they're like, why would Ash Wednesday have to be this Wednesday? And I was like, because you take the palms out on Sunday and then you burn them on Wednesday and leave the smudge on the foreheads? And they said no. Because as it turns out, Ash Wednesday happened a long time ago, like about 40 days ago, at the beginning of Lent. So I didn't know that. I thought I was smart. And I was like, yeah, it's totally obvious. Palm Sunday, and then Ash Wednesday, and then Good Friday. Duh, that's how it works. No, actually, it's not how it works. But you know, everybody else knew that instead of me. And let's see here. And Shock, yes, you believe it's the day after Fat Tuesday, but it was a good guess. Yeah, you were right. Yeah, see, you were right, Pussycat. And no, Ash Wednesday was weeks ago. Exactly. Hence the pointing and laughing that happened to me at the bar last night. Yeah. And Verity, yes, Fat Tuesday. You know, one day I'll remember that Fat Tuesday, Ash Wednesday are part of a pair. Exactly, Gina. Now is the time to throw down the point and laugh emotes. Ha ha. Yeah, because I know nothing. I didn't grow up in a house that went to church. I grew up in a house where my neighbors recognized that my parents were heathens, and they would take me to Sunday school and church, but it just didn't stick. Nothing about it even came close to sticking. Now, oh, Shock, you went to Catholic church once? So confusing. That's so funny because of all the churches that I've been to, Catholic church is the one I've been to the most, because when I was growing up, most of my friends were Catholic. And so if you spent the night on Saturday night, you had to go to church with them on Sunday morning, which really sucked. But you did. And so I've been to enough Catholic services to know when you're supposed to stand up, sit down, fight, turn to the left, turn to the right, shake your hand, shake your booty, knee all down, you know, do your thing, and also with you. I actually know all about that stuff. I don't really know all about it, but I start to recognize, like, oh, I think we're about to shake hands. Oh, I think we're going to have to kneel pretty soon. Oh, I think we're going to have to say, and also with you. Only now they don't say, and also with you, they say something else. And I don't know what it is because it's been a really long time. But there you go. And I did know what Lent is. I did know that you give up something that you like for 6 weeks. I did know that. That much I know. Andre, you are smart, Molly. You're just not Catholic. There you go. And so Kenny coming in, the palms are a remembrance of when Jesus made his final entrance into Jerusalem, riding a young donkey, and the people laid palm fronds on the path ahead of him to celebrate his arrival. I had no idea. Really? First off, I didn't know that he ever rode a donkey into Jerusalem, and I had no idea that they did that with the whole palms in front of him like rose petals. I didn't know that. And, okay, so wait, Gina, I mean, you're not entirely wrong about the idea of Ash Wednesday, just wrong timing. The palms from today will be burned. Oh, dude! The palms from this Palm Sunday will be burned for next year's Ash Wednesday. Oh, dude, that's why I had them. So see, all right, So there was a method to my madness. Okay, there was a method to my madness. Okay, all right. So I wasn't just out of the blue confabulating Palm Sunday and Ash Wednesday. They are connected, just not linearly on the same week, so to speak. And Andre, I mean, do Protestants do Ash Wednesday? Because I only see Catholics with ash on their foreheads. I cannot answer that question definitively. What I can say is, yes, it is mostly Catholics. No, most of the Protestant religions that I am aware of do not do the little schmutz on the forehead. However, I would not be surprised if the Anglicans did. And Anglicans are technically Protestant, but they are so Catholic, it's just not even funny. So I wouldn't be surprised if Anglicans, or excuse me, Episcopalians, I guess is what they're called in the United States. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe that sect of Protestantism, I don't know if that's the word, if that flavor of Protestant, they might. But the other Protestant religions, no, I don't think so. Kenny's coming in with Southern Baptists don't do Ash Wednesday. I can tell you right now, the Presbyterians don't do Ash Wednesday. I do know that. But like I said, Anglicans, Episcopalians might. And let's see here. Felicia, I had the old school nuns with the ruler across the hand. Good times. Oh, yikes. Ouch. Ouch, 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 ouch. And I need to watch that Jesus Christ Superstar movie all in rock format. Yeah, actually, I've never seen Jesus Christ Superstar. I've seen Hair, but I've never seen the other one. And let's see here. What do we got here? You've got wild palm trees in your yard. That's cool. Are you gonna burn them down on Palm Sunday? Are you gonna lay them in front of Jesus when he enters your yard? And let's see, what do we got here? Devin and Darlene talking about stuff. And then, okay, so Mama Sean coming in with, we did Ash Wednesday, but not on you, LCA Lutheran. And Pussycat's bragging, I could lay them in front of Jesus if he came into my yard. And let's see here, you once stayed overnight at an Episcopal with a lady studying to be a priest. Well, I guess then you probably didn't get lucky with that lady. And yep, Darlene, also familiar with the rulers on the fingers. No, we didn't have rulers on the fingers. What we had was paddles on the butts. Because I know that Catholic school is well known to have the ruler punishment, as it were. But lesser known, and I don't know if this is true everywhere, but on the West Coast, where I grew up, in most of my elementary and all of my junior high and high school, they could beat your butt with a paddle. The school, the principal, your teacher, it didn't matter. They could hit you. And not only could they hit you, they had a paddle for hitting you with, and it had holes in it for better wind resistance or something. I don't really know. You got to sign the paddle whenever you got paddled. Some people their names were all over that paddle. And so as much as the ruler on the knuckles sounds awful, I have to say the threat of a paddle on your butt was, well, it was pretty effective for me. Obviously not for some of the dudes who got their names on that paddle multiple times. But yeah. And then when you were old enough, see, because if you were young, you just got paddled by the teacher. But if you were old enough, i.e. like 4th grade or above, you got sent to Mr. Compton. Mr. Compton was a huge 5th grade teacher and Mr. Compton was the one that paddled you. If you were 4th, 5th, or 6th grader, your teacher didn't paddle you, Mr. Compton did. And Mr. Compton, well, okay, first off, though he has the name of a very black city in California, he's a white dude. That being said, he was tough, sort of like the city of Compton. And he was big and he was strong, and yeah, Yep. Pussycat, your wife went to Catholic school and it didn't work. She was a little devil. And Shock, you don't think there was any corporal punishment in your school? I'll tell you what, dude, honestly, I don't know. There's a reason why I said where I grew up on the West Coast. Every single person I know from the East Coast who I mention, oh yeah, blah, 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 they used to hit us in elementary school. They're dumbfounded. They're gobsmacked. Their jaw is to the floor. Corporal punishment in school on the East Coast, from what I understand, outside of Catholic school settings, but public school, corporal punishment in public school on the East Coast, not gonna happen. Obviously, every little town's enclaves and school districts are different, but literally every single friend I've ever had from the East Coast who finds out that West Coast schools hit their kids, they just cannot even wrap their brain around how that would happen. And so, Pussycat, you've been paddled before? Okay, so see, like I said, perhaps not all the way down the East Coast, but in the Northeast corridor, like the Philadelphia, New Jersey areas, oh, heck to the no. They do not, no, And Andre, you banned spanking in the Bay Area. Maybe the Black Panthers had something to do with it. Quite possibly. And I'm sure, Darlene, if it took place in schools today, yeah, I have no doubt in my mind that it is no longer allowed in the schools that I went to now. But when I was in school, it was totally allowed. And let's see here, Mama Sean, I think in the 70s, corporal punishment became an issue because a kid got a spinal cord injury. And honestly, I don't remember it in Seattle. Wow, crazy, dude. I don't ever remember that story. And actually, I'm not really surprised that, Seattle maybe was with it and was just like, yeah, don't hit my kids. But where I was from, I wasn't from Seattle. I was from a military town. Okay, I'm from a military town. And trust me, the military parents had no problem letting the schools hit their kids. The military parents didn't have any problem hitting their kids either. So just, yeah, that was just whatever. And let's see here, Mama Sean admitting, although Dr. Steve just said he was hit once, but that was in the 60s. All right, there you go. Pussycat, in 6th grade, you were laughing at a kid in school and the teacher sent you to the principal's office and you got 6 whacks. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And yes, exactly, Verity. Parents signed off on it. That is exactly it. And Felicia, I ignored your question because there's a lot of different answers. One of the answers is, did you eat a lot of dough before you made the cookies? Because whenever I end up with a cookie math question like Felicia, cookie math question, why only get 18 cookies? Recipe claims 5 dozen. There's a whole lot of reasons why 18 cookies out of 5 dozen survived. And many of the answers you got in this particular thread are valid. Did you make them too big? Depends on the size of the scoop. Or this is what it would be for me. Did you eat a lot of the dough? Did you eat any dough? Was it just one little bit? Or was it just one little bit 43 times? 43 times of a little bit. Because 43 times a little bit equals the bigger bit. Just a bigger bit. And Andre, I agree. Evaporation, that's where they went. And Pussycat, yeah, no, your parents probably didn't know, because that's the thing, though. If you got hit in by the teachers at my school, your parents didn't know. I mean, unless you told them. But most of the time, no, of course you wouldn't flip and tell them I got in trouble at school. Why would you do that? Because if you get in trouble at school and you tell your parents that, then there's a good chance you're going to get in trouble at home for getting in trouble at school. So of course you wouldn't tell them you got in trouble at school. Of course you didn't. I mean, that's kind of a given, right? Or am I just still a 11-year-old at heart? And Gina, you went to public school. There was no paddling, but you had a 3rd grade teacher who was fond of setting lines if the class acted out. If you didn't finish them, she would refuse to let you go to lunch. My writing hand would cramp up badly, and there were times when I couldn't finish writing the lines. I don't even know what you mean by writing the lines. Oh, is it... Wait, what? Oh. Wait, writing the line... Is that like what Bart Simpson does at the beginning of the, Simpsons? So, like, you have to write, like, I will eat pudding 100 times? I mean, my best guess is that's probably not what they had you write. I don't even know why I said that. I will eat pudding. Yes, that's going to be your punishment. I want you to write down, I will eat pudding 500 times. And then when you're done, I won't give you any pudding. Yeah. Weird, dude. Writing lines. That's annoying. And, oh no, Felicia, you didn't even get 18. You got 16 cookies. Oh, well, I hope they're big. And yeah. And Kenny from the Cove, in the 80s in Texas, public schools didn't ask the parents to sign off on paddling. That's what I'm talking about, dude, is we didn't, they just paddled you. There was no, we didn't ask, and we know you're not going to tell. So, it's kind of how that was. It was a don't ask, don't tell policy in its own kind of weird way. We didn't ask, and you're not going to tell. And, let's see here. Oh, it was a specific school rule on paper 200 times. Oh, that is just stupid. I mean, I guess it's one thing if you were, like, if she made the whole class do it, that's just dumb. I mean, it's one thing if the one person who's getting punished gets to do it, although I still think that's a silly punishment, but whatever. But yeah, and then you couldn't go eat lunch until you finished it? Oh, dude, yeah, that would not happen today. And let's see here. It was the whole class. Yeah, no, I don't like your teacher, Gina. I don't like that teacher. I don't think that teacher was very effective. I do not like that teacher. No. And Andre, exactly. I always hated it when the teachers wanted us to snitch on the wrongdoer, and we did not snitch and turned off the lights thinking somebody would return it. When we never did, we just beat up the thief on the yard for putting us through that. Well, I guess actually, now that I think about it, that is, I suppose, what the point of collective punishment is when the entire group gets punished, then the entire group will then later on turn on the one that got them punished and do what needs to be done. I think you know what I'm saying with this, to make sure that that doesn't happen again. But I still think it's messed up. I totally think it's messed up. And hey, John Bass, so good to see you. It has been forever. Now we got two crazy Florida men in the house right now. Pussycat and John, both in the house. And exactly, Andre, but we didn't snitch. That's exactly it. Although kids these days might, because kids these days have grown up under a completely different set of playground rules that our generation grew up under. Our generation, I'm not saying that we were right for growing up the way we did, but I think we grew up better. And let's see here. Darlene, yeah, you never went and told your parents you got whacked. They'd ask, what did you do? And then you'd be punished by them. Exactly. That's what I'm saying, right? And Gina, she wasn't at all a good teacher. And yeah, I still wonder how she lasted for that school for so long. Right. Totally, dude. Totally. Exactly. Kids snitch these days so much that we tell them, like, you need to stop snitching because I really don't care. Yeah, absolutely. Which is a confusing message, I suppose, but at the same time, life is confusing and there's always ifs, ands, or buts. Nothing is black and white. There's no there's no constant. And Felicia is not admitting to eating any of that dough, but she will admit to making big cookies, and she needs to learn to make them smaller. But hubby is happy. There you go. And actually, you know what, Felicia, sometimes I do think that the cookies that they say, it's like, oh yeah, it'll make 5 dozen cookies. And it's like, yeah, 5 dozen cookies that are like this big. Who wants a cookie that's like 1.5 inches across? I mean, I understand that Famous Amos makes cookies like that, but when I make cookies, my cookies are this big. Chocolate chip cookies are about this big, and my oatmeal raisin cookies are usually about this big. So, like, I don't want 5 dozen quarter-size cookies. I want 18 human-size cookies. Okay, maybe not the size of a human, but you know what I mean. I think. And, yes, exactly. A happy hubby is a good thing, and making big cookies is delicious. And Pussycat, he's bragging because his daughter has the hookup with the biggest cookies ever. Vanilla, ice cream, drizzle, caramel, yum. And I really would like to have that cookie, even though I'm not eating gluten or sugar. That cookie with vanilla ice cream and caramel sauce sounds flippin' delicious right now. And Kenny bragging, my crowd lived by 2 rules. Mind your own business and something else, but it went away. Mind your own business and handle your business. Snitching wasn't healthy. Exactly. Snitches get stitches after all. And here we go. There we go. That sounds like a very good parameter there. Shock has a good metric. You need a cookie big enough. No, let's see what you need. A cookie that you can feel unguilty about eating an entire one, but not so small that you can eat a dozen. There you go. That sounds good. And let's see here. eMusic, the real man, Famous Amos, does make his cookies a regular size. You knew him when you lived in Hawaii. Oh, okay. Because I've only seen the little, the smaller, like ping pong ball sized ones. And they're delicious. The problem, though, is I could eat them by the handful and multiple handfuls. So there you go. Let's see here. Kenny from the Cove, oatmeal raisin cookies that look like chocolate chip cookies are reasons why you have trust issues. No, mine look like oatmeal raisin cookies. There's no mistaking the chocolate chip for the oatmeal raisin. Now, I will admit, though, what does piss me off is when people put chocolate chips in their oatmeal cookies, because I love an oatmeal raisin cookie. And so when I bite into an oatmeal raisin cookie expecting a raisin and I get a chocolate chip, I'm very annoyed. And okay, eMusic, so the size did get changed when he got it, when he sold the company. Yeah, and I don't ever. My mom says that we used to go to the real Famous Amos. I don't remember that at all, and so I'm just gonna believe you. And let's see here, Devin. Okay, so there was a dress code where you have to have knee-length dresses. I wore a dress too short. Big mistake. Your mom wouldn't bring a new dress, so the solution was to redress me in the only thing that would fit me, the Joseph costume that was used for plays. The 3rd grade teacher announced it to the entire class that I didn't adhere to the dress code and to come say hello to you. That is so messed up, Devin. I mean, it is messed up on so many reasons, so many levels. First off, as a 3rd grader, I didn't have control over what I wore to school. My mom still decided what it was I wore to school. So if I didn't adhere to the dress code, you gotta blame my mom. You cannot be, I can't, Yeah, that I just yeah, there you go. That quote me. All right, there we go. But I've been given the 2-minute warning, and we're not quite at 2 minutes according to mine. We're at 3. But it's always good to warn me early, because sometimes I ignore the warnings. Sometimes I just ignore it. And let's see here. Wait, hold on. A macadamia nut cookie and a cup of coffee would be a well-received gift right about now. Yeah, that does sound really delicious, isn't that? Yes, it does. And Anna's ginger snaps. Oh, you could eat an entire tin. Oh, yeah. I think I've had Anna's, and yeah, they're delicious. Another cookie that I could eat an entire box of, which is why I do not allow a box of them in my house. Walker's shortbread cookies. Just keep away with the shortbread cookies. I will eat them forever. And let's see here. I think I saw... Yes, there we go. Andre, you saw gluten-free hobnobs at Cost Plus. Going to try one and give the other one to a gluten-free family member. There you go. Yeah, good. You sent me the hobnobs, and well, I already thanked you for that, and thank you once again. The gluten-free hobnobs are flippin' delicious. They're not as the same or as good as the non-gluten-free, but they are dangerous in their own way. So watch out, okay? Just watch out. And exactly, Shock, Walker's is so flippin' addictive. They've got gluten-free Walkers too, you know? No, I didn't know, and I don't want to know. I cannot. I'm trying to cut back on sugar. I can't do any cookies. I didn't need to know. I didn't. La 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 la. I am not listening. Okay, you guys, before I yeah. I'm literally drooling. I'm literally drooling right now, y'all. There. So yeah, bacon. Awesome. Let's go. I've got bacon in my freezer. I'm going to have some bacon when we get off this stream. All right, you guys, it is the bottom of the hour. Well, 1 minute too, according to my clock, but that's all right. We're going to wrap it up. And, oh God, Devin, shut up with the knots, shortbread, strawberry, and raspberry thumbprint cookies. You guys, everybody needs to go eat cookies, okay? It's time for a cookie. And John, you're eating oatmeal raisin cookies with coffee, and you've got the coffee on. Oh, John. Oh, John. I wish I was with you right now. Do you think the coffee will still be warm if I catch a flight right now from Seattle to Florida? And Pussycat, you can't eat anything until tomorrow. Oh, are you on a time-restricted eating plan? Good for you. Good for you. And, wait, look, it's the winged victory of Samothrace. I don't know what that word is. Samothrace. What? All right. And Kenny, you're killing an Atkins peanut butter cookie at the moment. Oh, that sounds good. And, oh, it's a statue. Classic distraction tactic. Got it. All right, then. Well, now that we're distracted by cookies and coffee and things, oh my. Bacon. We're going to wrap it all up. And I know that this is a very, very strange stream today. From the moment it started, y'all walked in going, oh, this is different. What? To all of the end. Yep, there we go. It's been a strange day, and I'm glad we could spend a strange day together. We'll see each other hopefully on Wednesday, 5 p.m. West Coast time. And on next Saturday, I'd like to remind all y'all, boop. Well, here we go. We're going to be watching The Usual Suspects. There we go. The Usual Suspects is what we're going to be watching. Statterbox Cinema, 6 p.m. Saturday. But 5 p.m. Wednesday, we'll see each other, and hopefully 6 p.m. on Tuesday, we'll get to see each other at Andy Bumatai. So, someday, next week, we'll see each other, and next Saturday, we might even watch this together. Thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you so much for subbing, for gift subbing, and everything. We'll see each other soon. Take care, y'all. Have a good one.